the investment policy that we have, I mean, we as Ian said very kindly, I with the support of Gatsby, Rockefeller, and a third investor, a Belgian financial institution called Volksvermögen, was appointed to set up and establish AAC 7 years ago. And at that point, the investors had committed $7 million to the project. And over the next 2 years, 2 or 3 years, I spent my time searching for investment opportunities and beginning the process of building a management team. Over 2006 to 2009, we invested that initial $7 million plus a little bit more in 16 enterprises, 16 SMEs in Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania, many of which have been extremely successful. I'd love to say all of them have been extremely successful, but at least I think it's fair to say that 11 of those 16 businesses have performed either in line with or better than our expectations, which in the investment management business is by no means a sort of, it's certainly a very respectable performance. Obviously, just like our own investees, we then faced the problem of growth, and we faced the issue of how would we grow and develop. In 2009 and 10, we were fortunate enough to be appointed to manage a facility, a $12 million facility, called the African Seed Investment Fund. And that is specifically to invest in seed businesses in East and Southern Africa. So addressing the issues of access to high quality planting material. I hesitate to talk about this in Mauritius, where so much work was done quite a long time ago on improving the quality of planting material, particularly for the core crop here, sugarcane. And I'm aware of the very high quality work that went on here, and I think it's true to say that quite a lot of research initiatives in sugar that were started here have actually improved the quality of sugarcane planting material elsewhere. Continental Africa struggles, farmers struggle, smallholders struggle to access high quality planting material. So there's a business opportunity there for people who are able to produce that planting material, produce the seed, and then who are then able to get it to market in the right time, at the right place, to the right people. All of the challenges that any business faces. And sadly, it's been extremely difficult for businesses to access capital. And one of the things that one of our objectives here, yes, it's to earn a good quality return, and it's to support good businesses, but it's also to try to attract and stimulate more interest in investment in Africa. I think everyone would acknowledge we live in a world that is changing quite rapidly. We live in a world where population is increasing rapidly. We live in a world where the politics of food, which for a long time has been perhaps secondary to people's considerations, has become increasingly important. Supply of food, where is it going to come from? How are we going to feed the extra billion people that they're going to be in the world in about 10 or 12 years' time? And perhaps not surprisingly, you look around the world and you look for resources, potential resources, and you look at Africa, you look at a continent where, for the most part, agricultural productivity is well below potential. There are obviously exceptions to that, but on the whole, the agricultural opportunities, particularly for improvements in yield and productivity, are very high. And I think that is what is driving a lot of the current interest among big and small investors alike in investing in agriculture in Africa. We're very encouraged to see that. But what we want to do is make sure that we invest in a responsible way, and we want to, as far as possible, support African entrepreneurs. We're not necessarily tied to do so, but we would prefer, in many ways, to invest in indigenous and African opportunities and see the promotion of regional trade and domestic market development as being more important than investing in traditional export crops. So our thesis is very much about how can we invest successfully in businesses which work with smallholder farmers to help those farmers improve their productivity and improve their profitability, improve their performance. And we're also very interested in investing in businesses which provide those farmers with access to markets. You know, you can't just push productivity if you're not doing something to support and make sure that that productivity can then be stored, be distributed, be marketed and be sold. So, you know, so that's what we do. We look for businesses really that are either producing inputs for farmers or providing farmers with output opportunities. And that's very much our investment thesis. Back local businesses, entrepreneurs who understand the markets they're operating in, and look to support those businesses to grow and increase their profitability and ultimately, of course, increase the value of the investments that we make in them. So that's in a nutshell our thesis. Over the last 7 years, so since 2005, we've invested in 25 enterprises, majority in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, although we have also invested in 2 businesses in Malawi and 1 in Mozambique. So we are gradually beginning to expand. Our focus is very much on East Africa. I think, you know, something that, again, I'm sure that everyone in this room will recognise, but not everybody does, is that Africa is an extremely diverse and heterogeneous environment, both in terms of climate, in terms of culture, in terms of language, in terms of ecology, and so on. So our strategy and policy is very much focused around East Africa. It's about deepening our presence in East Africa and working in that market, understanding as much as possible so that we in turn then can add as much value as possible to the investments that we make. We have our new fund, which is in which both Ian and Amy represent investors in our new fund, is a $25 million facility. At the moment, we've invested in 2 enterprises so far. We expect that we shall invest in 2 more, at least 2 more enterprises by the end of this year, and that will take us up to around $7 million worth of, around $6.5 million worth of investment. So we've still got a long way to go in terms of this fund. And I guess what I would like to emphasise to all of you is that East Africa is actually it's a very good place to do business. It's got a huge amount of potential. It's quite straightforward. East Africa doesn't have too many barriers to investment. The investment climate is good. Politically, East Africa is perhaps among the most stable regions of the continent, and it has good economic growth and consistent economic growth. Over the last 10 years, growth has averaged over 5% per annum in the region as a whole, and that's pretty substantial growth. In a world where growth is slowing in developed markets, East Africa presents a very exciting opportunity. Demographically, its population growth is high. Democracy is becoming stronger and deeper and more embedded in the system. And the business climate as a whole is becoming very attractive. So my message is, if you're not already, come and have a look at the opportunities that you can find in East Africa, and you will be pleasantly surprised. Thank you very much.